Global TV News Express. National Council of State approved appointment of Joash Amuritan as INEC chairman. Federal government appeals to ASU to shed plant strike, vows to address pending demands. And in business, rep to recover $9 billion illegal mining loss. And on the foreign scene, Israel-Hamas agreed to first phase of Gaza peace deal. In sports, the Tigers draw Germany, France in World Cup qualifiers. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express and Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. The National Council of State has unanimously approved the appointment of Professor Joash Ojo Amopitan San from Kogi State as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, following President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presentation of his nomination to fill the vacancy left by Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's exit. President Tinubu described the 58-year-old legal scholar as the first North Central nominee for the position and commended his political stance and integrity, a sentiment echoed by Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo and other council members. The president is expected to forward Amopitan's name to the Senate for confirmation in accordance with the constitutional provisions. The federal government has appealed to the Academic Staff Union of Still Taking Education. The federal government says the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, that is State Fund, has significantly transformed tertiary institutions across the country through strategic interventions and accountability. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, who was represented by Dr. Olusegun Adekunle, made this known at the 2025 National Town Hall meeting of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund in Abuja. Global TV's correspondent has the details. The stakeholders at the 2025 National Town Hall meeting of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund gathered to review progress and chart a path for a more transparent and responsive tertiary education system. Representing the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Dr. Olusegun Adekunle commended the TED Fund Board of Trustees and Management for judiciously utilizing public funds.
TED Fund's activities are fully aligned with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. This agenda prioritizes human capital development, job creation, and economic competitiveness through education and skills.
Chairman of the TED Fund Board of Trustees, Aminu Bello Masari, emphasized that TED Fund's innovations and interventions are geared toward repositioning Nigeria as a producing rather than a consuming nation.
Deployment of medical simulation centers in 8 universities strategically located across the 6 geopolitical zones of the universities. The universities are Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, University of Maiduguri, Federal University of Health Sciences, Bauchi, University of Ilorin, Kwara State, University of Lagos, Lagos State, Federal University of Health Sciences, Ogun, Osun State, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Anambra State, and University of Benin, Edo State.
The Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Sonny Echono, appreciated the President for granting the fund's request, part of which is the building of hostels in tertiary institutions.
The President said he wanted us to build hostels, enough hostels, livable hostels, decent hostels. You cannot put students in dilapidated conditions and expect them to come out and behave like well-brought up, well-bred children.
Also speaking at the meeting is the chairman, Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution, Danduse Mustad Mohammed, and the chairman, House Committee on Tech Fund and Other Services, Princess Marian Onoha. They also spoke about Tech Fund's interventions.
This intervention has not only improved the learning environment, but also enhanced the capacity of our institution to produce globally competitive graduates.
This is in line with National Assembly tenets of renewed accountability and public sector efficiency.
The town hall meeting is a symbol of transparency, vision, and accountability determined to ensure that every intervention by the fund delivers measurable and lasting impact. Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global Television News. The stakeholders at the Commission, that is INEC, has announced a 4-day extension of the continuous voters registration exercise in the Federal Capital Territory. The extension, which runs until October 12, follows high voter turnout. It's aimed at ensuring no eligible resident is disenfranchised ahead of the upcoming elections. INEC urged citizens to take advantage of the window while warning against multiple registration, which remains a punishable offense under the Electoral Act 2022. The Senate has called for immediate and comprehensive federal government intervention in the security situation in Kwara South Senatorial District, following a motion of urgent national importance moved by Senator Ashiru Oyelola of Kwara South. Topsy Gidba has the details.
The motion, titled Urgent Need to Address Insecurity in Kwara South Senatorial District, particularly a Feledun local government area, was presented on the Senate floor amid growing concerns over the spate of killings, kidnappings, and forced displacement in the region. Senator Ashiru expressed deep concern over the worsening security situation, citing attacks that have left at least 70 people dead and 142 kidnapped in the past year alone.
Concerned that at least 142 persons have been kidnapped and over 70 killed in the last 12 months across Kwara South.
The senator revealed that the perpetrators are believed to be foreign armed elements working in collaboration with local border axis.
Roads have become unsafe. Local economies are completely paralyzed and schools have closed, thereby worsening poverty and increasing youth vulnerability to crime.
The motion received unanimous support across party lines, underscoring the urgency of the matter.
Progress is being made. There is a renewed resurgence. We need this Senate to tell the armed forces to be reporting progress every week.
No one can downplay that men in uniform and women in uniform are fighting hard to protect us.
Once we strengthen our government system, we have had a pathway to fighting insecurity. Our grassroots are where these criminals come from.
The trajectory of the movement of insecurity in this country, if not nipped in the bud, has the potential of consuming the whole country.
Decisive, go in there and do their best in dealing with the situation. It is sad, particularly those who are kidnapped as we speak. I think the first thing is to try to get them rescued.
However, they concluded by saying that the president and the armed forces are doing their best. More still needs to be done. Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global Television.
Newly elected senators Joseph Ikpia and Emmanuel Nwachukwu have been sworn in as substantive lawmakers. Again, Topsy Gimba has the details.
Oath of office representing Edo Central and Amara South Senatorial districts, while Ikpia will be taking the place of Governor Monday Okwebelo in Odo State, Nwachuku of the All Progressives Grants Alliance, APGA, will replace the late Senator Ifeanyi Uba. In his remarks before the oath-taking,
well-being and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I will strive to preserve. I will strive to preserve the fundamental objectives of direct principles. The fundamental objectives and direct principles of state policy.
The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, welcomed the lawmakers to the chambers and the dignitaries that accompany them. He admonished the lawmakers to carry out their functions as nationalists and not only as ambassadors to their senatorial district. Akpabio asked that 2 books be given to the newly sworn-in senators, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the standing rules of the Senate to guide their legislative work.
You are no longer a senator of your political party. You are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Once you step into this chamber, you drop your party outside and come in here as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria with the intention of carrying out and contributing to debates and other functions here as a nationalist.
Topsy Gimba, reporting for Global TV News.
The House of Representatives has rejected the narrative that framed Nigeria's security crisis as a singularly religious conflict or a state-sponsored persecution and reaffirmed Nigeria's constitutional protection for freedom of religion and belief. This was the position of the House following a motion raised under matters of urgent national importance moved by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu and other members. Correspondent Aniete Patrick has the details.
It would be recalled that on September 9, 2025, a bill titled the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025 was introduced in the United States Senate, seeking to require the U.S. Secretary of State to designate Nigeria a country of particular concern, aiming to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials under the Executive Order 13818 and related authorities. Also, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has in recent annual reports recommended Nigeria for CPC designation, citing persistent violations and state failures to protect against non-state actor abuses. Due to the above, the House, through its Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, is concerned that the external legislative actions based on incompetent assessments risks undermining Nigerian sovereignty and misrepresenting facts.
Based on incomplete or decontextualized assessment, risks undermining Nigerian sovereignty.
Members on the floor also registered their opinions while proposing measures necessary towards redeeming the image of the nation.
That it is a deliberate attempt to damage Nigeria's image.
We must re-engineer our parliamentary diplomacy.
What we are seeing here is global politics, and we cannot shy away from it.
The House also resolved to constitute a dialogue panel to interface with the United States for holistic resolution. Meanwhile, the House has again employed the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to without delay provide relief materials to victims of the recent boat mishap in Kogi State.
Mandate the Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations and National Inland Waterway to evaluate and receive briefings on safety measures from the Federal Ministry of Transportation.
Speaker Tajudeen Abbas, who presided at plenary, also directed relevant committees to seek further approach in implementing all legislative resolve. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
Nigeria's fight against desertification and, of course, poverty has received fresh momentum as the National Agency for the Green World set out a renewed agenda to restore degraded lands and empower communities. Director General of the agency, Sali Abubakar, says the mayor signal a new commitment to environmental sustainability and good governance Sadia Yakubu has the details.
Looking at the induction and familiarization program for the newly inaugurated council members of the National Agency for the Great Green Wall in Abuja, renewed call to service. He noted that the appointment of new members comes at a time when the world is facing severe environmental challenges such as desertification and food insecurity issues, which pose existential threats to millions of Nigerians living in dryland region.
Action. This is the essence of our theme, green leadership and good governance, aligning roles for environmental impact. This speaks to the very heart of our mission, to restore degraded landscapes, combat desertification, and build resilient ecosystems across Nigeria's drylands.
Abubakar urged council members to embrace green leadership rooted in empathy, foresight, and innovation. He emphasized that the need for synergy between vision and execution so that policies translate into tangible results for communities. He reaffirmed the agency's commitment to transparency, collaboration, and community-driven action, stressing that the Great Green Wall must stand as a lasting symbol of environmental stewardship and good governance.
Green leadership is not just about planting trees, but about planting hope. It is about leading with empathy, foresight, and a commitment to sustainability. Call to service, a call to align our roles, our values, and our commitment toward the noble cause of restoring Nigeria's degraded lands.
Earlier, the newly inaugurated chairman of the council, Magnus Ebi, unveiled a purposeful agenda aimed at combating desertification, reducing poverty, and promoting sustainable development across Nigerian dryland regions. Ebi described the Great Green Wall Initiative as a vision of survival, resilience, and hope, noting that millions of Nigerians depend on its success to restore livelihoods and strengthen climate resilience.
Also work to achieve transparency and accountability within the framework of our actions and policies moving forward.
With the Council's new agenda and leadership commitment, the National Agency for Great Green Wall looks set to deepen its impact in reclaiming degraded lands and driving sustainable growth across Nigeria's vulnerable regions. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, Israel-Hamas agreed to first phase of Gaza peace deal. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories. On the other side of this break, please stay with us. Welcome back from that break. Now let's take you through the world of business, where the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Illegal Mining has vowed to tackle the menace head-on and recover billions of dollars lost annually to activity. The committee says illegal mining remains a major threat to Nigeria's economy, environment, and internal security. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
At the inauguration of the ad hoc committee in Abuja, Chairman Sani Abdurrahim declared that Nigeria can no longer afford the mining sector. But the committee now set to begin investigations. Expectations are high that Nigeria may finally stem the losses and restore order to its mining industry. Anita Patrick reporting for Global TV.
Where the United States President Donald Trump says Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a peace deal and could pave the way for a Gaza ceasefire. The plan includes the release of hostages and prisoners, Israeli troop withdrawals, and the entry of humanitarian aid, pending final approval by Israel's cabinet. Celebrations have erupted in parts of Gaza and Israel as both sides hail the agreement as breakthrough, though diplomats warn that major details need to be finalized. Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, says the UK will not relax visa rules for India. He was speaking shortly after he arrived in India to discuss the benefit of a recent trade agreement. Starmer is leading a delegation of more than 100 entrepreneurs, cultural leaders, and university vice-chancellors as he attempts to boost UK investment and improve sluggish economic growth. Edikan Michael reports.
Nearly 7,000 brand new jobs will be created in the United Kingdom, propelled by the raft of major new deals secured by the Prime Minister during his visit to India this week. 64 Indian investors have confirmed their confidence in the UK as a business destination by collectively investing £1.3 billion into some of Britain's most thriving businesses, demonstrating the impact of the UK-India trade deal. The Prime Minister believes the UK-India trade deal is a launch pad for turbocharged domestic growth, with these figures proving it already bearing fruit. From next-generation electric motorbikes, semiconductor development, and agricultural innovation, the investment will benefit some of the UK's most exciting industry and cement the UK-India economic partnership. The UK-India trade deal will reduce tariffs on import from UK to India and vice versa, and is creating a lot of boost momentum to UK-India trade. Now, India is already the UK's second largest investor. More than 1,000 Indian companies operate here in the UK. The Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, believes these investments are a powerful endorsement of the global standing order for UK's economic potential. Edikan Michael, reporting from England for Global TV News.
In Cameroon, Anglophone regions, a separatist imposed lockdown ahead of the October 12 presidential election has forced schools and shops to close, leaving residents trapped in their homes and struggling to cope with weeks of destruction amid a decade-long separatist conflict in the country's English-speaking area. Uye Agbomofuegbe completes the report.
Where visitors once used to gather on Limbe's spectacular beaches of black volcanic sand, holiday makers have become scarce since fighters from the country's Anglophone minority mounted a revolt in 2016. Separatists had taken up arms after the government brutally crushed protests by English speakers, angry at at least 6,000 people in fighting. In recent years, the conflict has eased, though tensions have risen with Cameroon's upcoming presidential election scheduled for October 12.